Welcome to Teaching Truth. My name is Glenn Cartwright. Around the Tabernacle in 50 days. It's day 7 and I hope you're enjoying the journey and are finding it interesting as we explore and unpack together the different aspects of the Tabernacle. And today we want to think in our reflections about the pattern of the Tabernacle. The Tabernacle was a prefabricated structure that could be moved when it needed to be moved, when the people moved. And its construction, as it were, was a joint venture between God on the one hand and the people on the other. The Lord provided the pattern, the blueprint, the architect's plan, as it were, for the tabernacle, Exodus 25 verse 9, with the people providing the materials to construct the tabernacle, Exodus 25 verses 3 to 7. The outer court of the tabernacle was 150 feet long and 75 feet wide. So just picture this and these dimensions in your mind. It was enclosed by a fine twined linen curtain which was 7.5 feet high all the way around. And its gate, which was placed on the east side of the outer court, was 30 feet wide. The linen curtain was held in place by 60 pillars made of acacia wood and covered with bronze, spaced round about 7.5 feet apart. The brazen altar stood in the outer court just inside the gate facing the tabernacle. The sacrificial animals were offered on this altar. And as you progressed a little bit further into the courtyard, the brazen laver you would see, that stood in the outer court between the brazen altar and the tabernacle itself. And the laver was provided only for the priests who had to wash before entering the tabernacle. And as they washed in the laver, mirrors reflected their images, reminding them of how God saw them. And then from the laver, the priest would walk a few paces to the tabernacle itself, draw back the curtain and enter into the holy place where he could have fellowship with God. The tabernacle proper, the tent bit of the tabernacle, if you like, was 15 feet wide, 45 feet long, and 15 feet high. It was divided into two sections: the holy place, which was 15 feet wide and 30 feet long, and then the Holy of Holies, which was 15 foot square. 48 boards comprised the walls, 20 each on the north and on the south side, 6 on the west side, and 2 corner boards. Each board was 15 feet long and 27 inches wide, covered with gold. And these boards were held together by 5 golden rods, 4 on the outside and 1 on the inside. The whole structure, the tent bit of the tabernacle, had 4 coverings. First, an inner lining of embroidered fine twined linen. Second, a woven goat hair covering over the linen. Third, a ram skin over the goat hair. And fourth, a waterproof skin covering which was placed on the top. And whilst it's likely that the ceiling itself was flat, the holy place was entered through a hanging which was called the door. And the Holy of Holies, the most inner place, was entered through a veil. And there were 3 pieces of furniture which we'll come to look at in subsequent days in our reflections in the holy place. The table of showbread, which stood on the right side in the holy place. And on the left side of the holy place stood the 7-branched golden lampstand. And the altar of incense stood in the holy place right in front of the veiled Holy of Holies. Burning coals from the brazen altar were placed on the altar of incense, over which sweet incense was poured daily. The smoke from the incense curled upward, representing the praise of God's people. And the altar typified Christ, our high priest, who today intercedes for us before the Father's throne. The heavy veil that hung between the holy place and the Holy of Holies separated a holy God from a sinful people. And right inside the Holy of Holies sat the Ark of the Covenant, a rectangular box covered with gold inside and out. On the top of the ark stood 2 cherubim of God facing each other but looking down towards the mercy seat. And it was on the mercy seat that the high priest sprinkled blood on the Day of Atonement, which enabled God to cover the sins of the people. And the people would wait patiently outside the tabernacle, outside the tent, in the courtyard, their eyes fixed on it, wondering whether the high priest would reappear. Because if he reappeared, God had accepted the blood atonement. You see, what we're saying is that everything in the tabernacle had a pattern. Everything had a pattern. A heavenly pattern, a replica of something in heaven. Whether it be the lampstand that we then read about in Revelation, or the altar, or the manna, Revelation 2:17. The pattern of the tabernacle was heavenly. It was an earthly construction of heavenly conception. The instructions were given by God, and the construction was as a result of the people's obedience. And here's the thing I want to conclude with today, that every piece of the tabernacle was in its proper place. There was a pattern to everything. It was not haphazard. And that was really for 2 reasons. First of all, it was necessary for the purposes of transportation and erection, so that people knew what bit went where. Today we build a house or buy a house and then we get the furniture. Whereas with the tabernacle, God prepared the furniture first. And the second reason is that orderliness, I believe, as it was for the tabernacle then, is the pattern for the church today. 1 Corinthians 14 verse 40 reminds us that everything should be done in a fitting and orderly way. There was a very definitive and divine pattern to the tabernacle of Moses.